Humanity had once ruled a wide stretch of the stars. Colonies sparkled like tiny jewels across countless systems, and human ships moved boldly through the void. But with ambition came fear, and the Galactic Empire began to see humans as a threat. Their rapid growth, their courage, and their refusal to bend frightened the Empire's rulers. In secret, the Council decided that humanity could not be allowed to continue expanding. Humanity had to be exiled, scattered, and controlled. Captain Nathan Brooks watched from the bridge of his command ship as Imperial warships fell upon the fleet. He had known the Empire might grow suspicious of humanity's progress, but nothing could prepare him for the overwhelming force now before him. The Empire's ships moved with deadly precision, cutting off colonies and chasing humans toward the edge of uncharted space. Explosions lit the void as ships were destroyed. Families fled in smaller craft, hoping to survive, but fear and confusion were everywhere. Nathan shouted orders to his crew, trying to keep control, trying to keep hope alive. The survivors' destination was a small, rocky planet known as Viridian. It was dark and barren, almost entirely devoid of life. The landing was rough. Ships trembled as they passed through the planet's thin atmosphere, and many had to crash land, leaving jagged scars across the surface. Nathan helped pull survivors from wreckage, his hands steady despite exhaustion. Mira Thompson, a young engineer, was there as well, her face streaked with dust and sweat. She moved quickly, assessing damage and organizing makeshift shelters. Children clung to parents, crying and confused, while elders murmured prayers and hopes. Despite the destruction, there was something about Viridian that gave Nathan a strange sense of possibility. The planet was harsh, yes, but it was untouched by the Empire. Here, humanity could begin again. It would be hard, maybe even impossible, but Nathan believed that humans could survive anything. Mira worked alongside him, her mind already racing with ideas. She salvaged broken parts from ships, turning them into energy generators and filtration systems. Every piece she touched became useful again, a symbol of the resilience humanity would need to thrive here. In the early days, survival was everything. Food was scarce, water had to be purified, and the planet's storms were dangerous. Humans worked together, forming small communities around the few shelters that could withstand Viridian's winds and cold. They learned to scavenge for food, using every part of their ruined ships to build gardens or capture rainwater. Children played in the dust, oblivious to the larger world that had rejected them. Even in despair, there was laughter, and that laughter reminded everyone why survival mattered. Nathan often stood on a rocky ridge, looking at the small settlements below. Smoke rose from tiny fires, and humans moved through the dust with determination. He saw Mira coordinating a team of engineers, young men and women learning quickly how to fix generators or build wind turbines from broken parts. He saw children helping by carrying water or feeding animals in the first small farms they managed to grow. Humanity was fragile, yes, but it was learning fast. Nathan knew that if they could survive the first year, they could survive much more. The nights on Viridian were long and cold. Nathan would sit beside a small fire listening to the wind howl and the distant groans of the planet shifting. Sometimes he would talk to Mira about what they had lost, the colonies, the friends, the freedom they had once known. But even in those quiet moments, hope lingered. Mira would smile and remind him that humans were not creatures to give up easily. They had survived worse on Earth, and they could survive worse now. As weeks turned into months, the settlers began to create more permanent shelters. Tents and temporary structures were replaced with buildings made from recycled metal, stone, and glass. Mira designed energy grids, small turbines that could power homes, and water purifiers that could recycle almost every drop. Nathan oversaw security, training volunteers to patrol the settlements and defend against alien predators that sometimes roamed the rocky plains. Every day was a battle, but humanity adapted quickly. Even the children, who had been scared and helpless when they first arrived, began to change. They learned to climb rocky cliffs, to navigate the storms, and to help in small ways with the community. Ethan Collins, a bright boy of 10, discovered he had a talent for engineering. He would help Mira fix turbines and create small machines, sometimes building things that even the adults had not imagined. Nathan watched him with quiet pride, realizing that this new generation might be the key to humanity's survival and future. But survival was not the only challenge. Humanity also had to rebuild its sense of purpose. They had been exiled, cut off from the stars they once called home. Many mourned the loss of their colonies and their families scattered across distant systems. Nathan often gathered the adults in a central tent to speak about hope and resilience. He reminded them that they were not just survivors, they were pioneers, shaping the future of humanity. His words gave people courage, a reminder that even though the galaxy had rejected them, they could still create something extraordinary. The first year on Viridian was the hardest. Food shortages, storms, and sickness tested the settlers' resolve. Mira worked day and night to repair equipment and invent solutions. Nathan led patrols and organized defenses. Yet even in the darkest times, humanity refused to surrender. They learned to ration, to cooperate, and to innovate. Every problem they faced became an opportunity to prove their strength. As humanity began to stabilize, small victories became important. Crops that had seemed impossible to grow on the rocky soil began to take root. Children learned to read, write, and invent. Adults discovered new ways to make energy, water, and shelter more efficient. Every success, no matter how small, strengthened the community. Nathan and Mira often stood together, looking at their growing civilization with cautious optimism. They knew it was only the beginning, but it was a beginning filled with potential. The Empire had thought that casting humanity out would end them. They had not counted on humans' determination, their creativity, or their refusal to surrender. On Viridian, the exiled humans began to forge a civilization that was uniquely their own. They were not simply surviving, they were learning to thrive. Engineers, farmers, soldiers, teachers, and children all worked together to create a network of cities connected by communication lines, energy grids, and roads. Humanity was small, yes, but it was growing stronger every day. One evening, as the twin moons of Viridian rose into the sky, Nathan stood on the highest cliff overlooking the main settlement. Fires glowed warmly below, and humans moved with purpose, repairing equipment, tending farms, and teaching children. Mira joined him, holding a small device she had been working on. "We're building something that matters," she said softly. Nathan nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility and hope at the same time. "Yes," he replied, "and one day, the galaxy will see what humans can do, even when cast out." As the wind blew across the cliff, carrying the sound of distant storms, Nathan realized that exile had changed them. Humans were no longer just colonists or survivors. They were thinkers, creators, and problem solvers. They had been forced to start over, but in doing so, they were discovering the true strength of their species. Viridian was harsh, unforgiving, and lonely, but it was also a place where humanity could grow, unbound by the rules of the Empire. Children played in the dust as Nathan and Mira watched, their laughter echoing across the barren landscape. It was a reminder that life could flourish even in the harshest places. The settlers had learned to work together, to invent, and to care for one another. Every day brought new challenges, but also new achievements. Humanity's spirit, once threatened, was stronger than ever. Even in the quiet of night, the people of Viridian dreamed. They dreamed of flying ships again, of exploring new stars, and of building a civilization that would last. Nathan thought of the Galactic Empire and their fear of humanity. He smiled to himself, realizing that if the Empire thought casting humans out would end them, they had underestimated the one thing humans could never lose: hope. The first part of humanity's story on Viridian was only just beginning. They had been cast out, yes, but in exile, they found something the Empire could never destroy: their unity, their creativity, and their unyielding will to survive. Nathan looked at Mira and the children, and for the first time since the fleet had been destroyed, he felt truly certain that humanity could endure anything. Viridian was their new home. The galaxy might forget them, might fear them, or might even try to destroy them again. But on this small, rocky planet, humanity was learning to rise. They were learning to build, to protect, and to thrive. And someday, Nathan knew, they would not just survive. They would astonish the galaxy. Years passed on Viridian, and humanity began to grow stronger. The first months of survival had taught them the value of cooperation, and now they had learned to build, invent, and plan for the future. Nathan Brooks walked through the growing settlement, watching as humans transformed the barren rocks into homes, workshops, and farms. Each day brought new discoveries and small victories that gave everyone hope. Mira Thompson was busy with a team of engineers, turning broken ship parts into machines that could make life easier. They built energy generators that ran on the planet's winds, water purifiers that could recycle every drop, and storage systems that kept food safe for weeks. She moved quickly, explaining her ideas to younger engineers like Ethan Collins, who had grown into a clever and confident teen. Ethan had a natural talent for machines and often suggested improvements that even Mira had not thought of. Together, they experimented, failed, and succeeded, and every success made life on Viridian more comfortable. The children, who had once played only in the dust, now helped in small ways, carrying tools, planting crops, and learning from the adults. Their education was practical and creative. Teachers taught reading, writing, and arithmetic, but they also encouraged problem-solving, teamwork, and invention. Nathan believed this was crucial. The children would grow up to be the leaders, builders, and innovators who could make humanity stronger than it had ever been. Food remained a challenge. The planet's soil was harsh and the climate was unpredictable. Humans experimented with hydroponics, building water channels and greenhouses where crops could grow year-round. They learned which plants could survive the storms and which ones provided the most nutrition. Slowly, their food supply became reliable. Families no longer feared starvation, and children had the energy to learn and play. Mira often worked late into the night, adjusting water pumps and analyzing crop growth patterns. Her determination inspired everyone around her. Nathan focused on safety and organization. Viridian was still dangerous. Storms could strike without warning, and strange predators roamed the rocky plains. Nathan trained volunteers to patrol the settlements, monitor weather patterns, and protect farms. He taught them tactics and strategies to defend against any threat. Humans were learning not just to survive, but to think strategically, to plan ahead, and to act quickly. Every storm they survived, every predator they scared off, made them stronger and more confident. Humans also discovered fragments of alien technology buried beneath the planet's surface. Small machines, power cores, and pieces of old starships hinted at an ancient presence. Mira studied these artifacts with Ethan and the other engineers. At first, the devices were mysterious and dangerous, but humans' curiosity and ingenuity soon turned them into tools. They adapted alien tech to improve their energy systems, communications, and transportation. Every discovery reminded Nathan that humans could use their intelligence to turn even the unknown into an advantage. As settlements grew, people began to form a small network of cities. Paths connected them, and communication lines allowed messages to travel quickly. Humans built workshops, schools, hospitals, and meeting halls. Even the children participated, learning responsibility and teamwork. Families took pride in contributing to the growing civilization. Mira designed bridges and tunnels that linked the cities, using strong materials salvaged from wrecked ships. Nathan oversaw the planning, ensuring that every structure served both function and safety. Evening brought long shadows across the settlements. Nathan often walked along the cliffs, watching humans work and play. Fires burned brightly in the central squares of each city, where people gathered to share news, eat, and celebrate small achievements. Music sometimes floated through the night, created from simple instruments crafted by the children. These moments reminded Nathan why they had to endure. Humanity's spirit could not be broken. One day, Ethan discovered a small piece of alien machinery that seemed to contain a power source unlike anything humans had ever seen. He showed it to Mira, who examined it carefully. After weeks of experimentation, they managed to create a small generator that could run indefinitely with minimal fuel. It was a breakthrough. Energy problems were no longer a constant struggle. This discovery allowed humans to build more complex machines, to light their cities, and to expand faster than ever before. As humans became more organized, they began thinking beyond survival. They wanted to explore, to understand, and to protect their new home. Nathan called a council of leaders, including Mira, Ethan, and other capable settlers. Together, they planned a vision for humanity's future. They would not simply live on Viridian, they would thrive. They would develop technology, strengthen defenses, and prepare for any threat, whether from the planet's dangers or from the Empire. The Galactic Empire, unaware of the scale of humanity's progress, continued to focus on other regions. But small scouts occasionally passed near Viridian, reporting unusual energy readings and strange constructions. Humans had built machinery that rivaled what the Empire considered advanced technology. Even without seeking attention, humanity's growth was beginning to be noticed. Nathan was aware of this, but he did not fear the Empire. He knew that humans' strength lay not only in their machines, but in their creativity, courage, and unity. Life on Viridian was not without hardship. Storms could destroy crops overnight, machines would fail, and accidents could injure workers. But humans learned to adapt quickly. They built shelters to withstand storms, developed emergency protocols, and trained others to repair machines efficiently. Every setback became a lesson. Every mistake was a chance to improve. Nathan often reminded his people that intelligence, perseverance, and cooperation were their greatest weapons. Friendships and bonds grew stronger with each passing year. Families who had lost homes and loved ones in the Empire's attacks found comfort in the new communities. People celebrated festivals, shared meals, and passed stories from the old colonies to the new generations. Children listened with wide eyes, imagining the stars humanity had once reached. Nathan knew that preserving memories of the past was important. It reminded everyone of what they had overcome and why they had to keep striving for the future. Technology advanced rapidly. Humans built new ships using a combination of salvaged Empire designs and their own innovations. These ships were smaller than the Empire's vessels, but faster, more agile, and capable of clever maneuvers. Mira and Ethan worked tirelessly to improve engines, weapons, and communications. Nathan oversaw training programs for pilots and engineers, ensuring that every person could contribute to humanity's survival and defense. The more humans learned, the more confident they became. In the evenings, Nathan sometimes looked to the sky, imagining distant stars and systems they had once visited. He thought of colonies lost and families separated, but he also saw the potential of humanity's future. On Viridian, humans were no longer exiles. They were builders, inventors, and pioneers. The hardships of the past had strengthened them. Their resilience was growing into something powerful, something that could not be ignored. Children played in the streets, laughing and learning. Ethan designed small machines that fascinated the younger ones. Mira tested new inventions that would make farming and energy more efficient. Adults worked side by side, constructing buildings, machines, and defenses. Humanity was learning that progress came not just from survival, but from intelligence, creativity, and cooperation. Each day, they grew closer to the civilization Nathan had dreamed of on that first day of exile. One afternoon, a group of scouts returned with news of a strange signal coming from deep within Viridian's caves. They had found more remnants of an ancient civilization, machinery buried beneath the rock for centuries. Nathan and Mira examined the artifacts carefully. They were complex, far beyond anything humans had built. Yet humans were undaunted. Using their knowledge, patience, and ingenuity, they began to understand and adapt the technology. This marked a turning point. Humans were not only surviving, they were learning to master new knowledge, gaining power that would make them formidable in the galaxy. Nathan called a meeting with the engineers and leaders. He spoke of ambition, growth, and hope. "We have survived the first storms, the first hardships," he said. "Now we must build, explore, and prepare. This planet is our home, but our spirit reaches beyond. The Empire cast us out, but we will rise stronger than they imagined. Humanity will thrive, and nothing will stop us." His words inspired the group. They nodded, determined to create a future for humanity that no one could take away. As months turned into years, settlements expanded further. New cities rose where once there was only rock. Machines hummed with energy. Crops grew in abundance, and humans moved with purpose. Children who had been frightened and small now ran through the streets confidently, learning, creating, and dreaming. Every day, Viridian became less of a prison and more of a foundation for something extraordinary. Mira and Ethan worked on a new project, a large ship capable of traveling beyond Viridian. It was smaller than the Empire's vessels, but designed for speed, intelligence, and adaptability. The ship represented not just exploration, but humanity's growing power. Nathan supervised the project, ensuring every detail served a purpose. When completed, it would mark the first step in humanity's return to the stars, not as exiles, but as pioneers, ready to demonstrate their strength and creativity. The Galactic Empire remained unaware of the scale of humanity's progress. Their scouts had glimpsed signs of energy and machinery, but they did not understand the depth of humanity's ingenuity. Nathan knew that one day the Empire would notice. When that day came, humans would not be frightened. They had built a civilization from nothing, survived storms and dangers, and turned exile into power. Humanity was ready. At night, as the twin moons of Viridian shone over the growing cities, Nathan often stood with Mira, watching the fires and machines of humanity glow warmly against the dark landscape. The planet was harsh, the sky was distant, and the stars felt far away. Yet humanity had found strength in itself, building a civilization that combined courage, creativity, and unity. They were no longer castaways. They were the makers of a new world. The first decade on Viridian had transformed humanity. What began as a desperate fight for survival had become a remarkable story of growth, innovation, and hope. Humans had turned barren rock into thriving cities, learned to harness energy, discovered alien technology, and built machines that could rival the Empire's smallest vessels. They were smart, fearless, and united. Nathan knew this was only the beginning. Humanity would continue to rise, and one day the galaxy would have no choice but to take notice. Humanity had been cast out, but in exile they had discovered their true strength. On Viridian, they learned that survival was only the start, that intelligence and creativity could overcome any challenge, and that even the harshest worlds could become home. Nathan looked out over the settlements, proud and confident. Humans had survived the first storms, and now they were building the future. One step, one invention, one city at a time. Years on, Viridian had transformed humanity into a force that even the Galactic Empire could not ignore. Their cities had grown, technology had advanced, and humans had become resourceful and confident. Nathan Brooks walked through one of the main cities, watching humans move with purpose. Children ran alongside adults, carrying tools or helping in small ways, learning from their elders. Engineers tested new machines, farmers checked crops, and scouts trained for exploration. Humanity was no longer merely surviving. They were thriving. One day, while Ethan Collins worked on a new communication device with Mira Thompson, a strange signal reached them. It was faint, but unmistakable. An approaching ship, not like any they had seen before. Mira studied the readings, her brow furrowed. "It's not from Viridian," she said quietly. "It's large and it's fast. I think it's from the Empire." Nathan's eyes narrowed. He had expected that sooner or later, the Empire would notice humanity's progress. He gave orders to prepare defenses, but also to approach carefully. Humanity did not want war, but they would not submit either. The ship descended slowly from orbit, its size massive compared to the human vessels. Lights shimmered along its hull, and humans in the city stopped to watch, unsure of the newcomer's intentions. Nathan stood at the edge of the landing field, watching as the ship's doors opened. Out stepped a team in sleek armor, led by Captain Elena Price, an officer of the Empire. She was careful, observing everything, but her surprise was evident. Humanity had grown stronger and more organized than she had expected. Nathan approached with a small delegation, including Mira and Ethan. He kept his posture calm and confident. "Welcome to Viridian," he said firmly. "We are humans, and we do not wish for war, but we will defend ourselves." Elena studied him closely. She had been sent to assess humanity, to report back to the Empire. She had expected scattered survivors, weak and struggling. Instead, she saw humans who were strong, inventive, and organized. The city around her was clean, efficient, and alive with energy. It was unlike anything the Empire had prepared for. Elena signaled her crew to remain at a distance. "Your people have done well," she said cautiously. "The Empire did not expect such progress. I am here to observe, not to attack, but the Empire will want answers." Nathan nodded. "Then let us speak honestly. We have survived, built, and learned. Humanity is not weak, and we will not be controlled again. You are welcome to see our achievements, but know this: we are ready for anything." Mira stepped forward, showing Elena the city's energy grid, farms, and workshops. The alien machinery humans had discovered had been adapted and improved, giving them power beyond what the Empire had imagined. Elena's crew examined the technology carefully. Their faces betrayed awe and disbelief. Humans had built drones, energy shields, and even small ships that could maneuver faster than the Empire's scouts. Ethan explained the engineering behind a new generator, showing how humans had adapted alien power sources to run it indefinitely. Elena listened, realizing that the humans were clever, disciplined, and fearless. The Empire had underestimated them, and that mistake could prove costly. After hours of observation, Elena and Nathan sat together to discuss terms. Nathan was firm. Humanity would remain free, unthreatened by the Empire. "We have no desire to fight," he said. "We have built this civilization from nothing. We will defend it, but we do not seek war. We ask only that the Empire respect our independence." Elena hesitated. She had been trained to follow orders without question, but she had also been taught to recognize intelligence and strength. Humanity had both in abundance. Returning to her ship that evening, Elena made her report to the Empire. She described the cities, the technology, the machines, and the human spirit she had witnessed. Her words caused concern among the council. Humanity, once thought weak and exiled, had become a civilization that could not be controlled. Rumors spread quickly. Humans were unpredictable, inventive, and fearless. The Empire debated its next move. Some argued for caution, others for immediate action, but all recognized the threat humanity now posed. Back on Viridian, life continued. Humans were unaware of the full impact of their encounter with the Empire, but Nathan knew that change was coming. He gathered leaders and engineers to plan for the future. "The Empire knows we exist," he said. "They are afraid of what we have built. We must continue to strengthen ourselves, to explore and to prepare. Our civilization is growing, and one day, the galaxy will have no choice but to acknowledge humanity." Mira and Ethan nodded. They understood the importance of their work. Every machine, every city, every invention was part of the larger goal, ensuring humanity's survival and strength. Humans also began to experiment with exploration. Scouts were trained to travel beyond Viridian, mapping nearby planets, searching for resources, and studying alien life. Small ships were built with advanced engines and defensive systems. Humans used their ingenuity to adapt the alien technology they had discovered, creating vessels faster and more maneuverable than anything the Empire could have expected from a species once considered weak. Each successful mission brought back new knowledge, new resources, and confidence. The children who had grown up on Viridian were now young adults. They carried the lessons of survival, creativity, and cooperation into everything they did. Education had focused not only on knowledge but also on problem-solving, leadership, and innovation. Every generation learned from the previous one, growing stronger and more capable. Nathan watched as they trained in the fields, workshops, and labs, proud of their progress. Humanity was becoming more than survivors. They were builders, thinkers, and warriors in their own right. One day, scouts reported a new arrival, a small fleet of Empire vessels approaching cautiously. Nathan prepared a reception, ensuring that humans were ready for either diplomacy or conflict. The fleet landed, and representatives of the Empire came forward. They were nervous, expecting a scattered, weak population. Instead, they saw organized cities, efficient energy systems, trained humans, and advanced machines. The Empire representatives were stunned. Humanity's growth was undeniable. Nathan spoke to them firmly. "We are humans," he said. "We have been cast out, but we have survived, grown, and built. We seek no war, but we will defend ourselves. You can observe, learn, and report. But do not underestimate us. Humanity is no longer weak." The representatives took note of every detail, every machine, and every person. Their reports to the council would emphasize the same thing. Humans were not just surviving, they were thriving in ways that alarmed the Empire. As the Empire left, Nathan knew that Viridian would need to continue strengthening its defenses and technology. Humanity's ingenuity had turned them into a civilization capable of facing the galaxy's most powerful forces. Mira and Ethan worked tirelessly to improve energy systems, build new machines, and train pilots. Children and young adults continued to innovate, creating tools and devices that pushed the boundaries of what humans could achieve. Every day, humanity grew smarter, stronger, and more confident. Meanwhile, the Empire struggled to adjust. They had sent spies and scouts to study humanity, but each report revealed new innovations, new technology, and new strategies. Humanity's cleverness, creativity, and resilience were unmatched. The Council began to debate. Should they attempt to conquer Viridian, negotiate with humans, or leave them be? Fear of the humans' unpredictability grew stronger with every report. Humans had taken what was meant to be punishment and turned it into power. Nathan understood that humanity could not rely solely on their growing strength. They needed knowledge, strategy, and unity. He organized councils, teaching humans to plan for potential conflicts, explore new systems, and continue inventing. Every citizen, young and old, had a role to play. Survival was no longer the only goal. Humanity aimed to thrive, to expand knowledge, and to protect their civilization. Mira led the development of new ships that could travel further and faster than any human vessel had before. Ethan helped design energy shields and weapons adapted from alien technology. Humans began to test these new machines in simulations and small-scale drills, learning to coordinate attacks, defense, and exploration. Every test improved their skills and understanding. Humanity was preparing for a future in which the galaxy would not ignore them. Despite the looming presence of the Empire, life on Viridian continued. People celebrated successes, shared stories of invention, and trained the next generation. Nathan often walked among the settlers, observing the progress. Children laughed as they learned to build, while adults worked on machines, farms, and defenses. Humanity had created a civilization of resilience, intelligence, and unity. They had taken exile and transformed it into opportunity. The Empire had underestimated humanity's creativity, courage, and determination. Humans had adapted to a harsh world, mastered alien technology, and built a civilization that rivaled the Empire's expectations. Scouts and representatives returned to their ships amazed, realizing that humanity was no longer weak. Nathan knew that the coming years would test them further, but he also knew that humans were ready. Their unity, intelligence, and ingenuity would be their greatest strengths. One evening, Nathan and Mira stood on a cliff overlooking the city. Lights glowed from the buildings, machines hummed in the distance, and children played in the streets. "We have come far," Mira said softly. Nathan nodded. "Yes," he replied, "and we are only beginning. The Empire has seen us, and they will remember. Humanity has survived, grown, and thrived, and soon they will see what we are truly capable of." Nathan looked to the stars, imagining the distant colonies humanity had lost and the systems they had yet to explore. He felt a quiet pride, knowing that humanity had turned exile into opportunity. Every challenge had made them stronger. Every obstacle had taught them to innovate. And now, even the Empire could not ignore them. Humanity was rising, and Viridian was only the first step. The coming years promised more challenges, but humanity had already proven its resilience. From the ashes of exile, they had built cities, mastered technology, and trained a new generation of thinkers, inventors, and leaders. Nathan knew that the story of humanity on Viridian was far from over. It was a tale of courage, intelligence, and creativity that would echo across the stars. Humanity had been cast out from the stars, but on Viridian they had discovered the power of unity, the strength of intelligence, and the endless possibilities of determination. Nathan looked at the glowing cities below and felt a surge of hope. Humanity was no longer merely surviving. They were preparing to show the galaxy what it truly meant to be human. Time on Viridian had made humans stronger and smarter. Their cities had grown, machines hummed with energy, and every day people learned more about the planet, the alien technology buried beneath it, and their own abilities. Nathan Brooks walked through the streets of the main city, watching children carry tools. Young engineers test machines, and soldiers train with focus. Humanity had become more than survivors. They were thinkers, builders, and innovators. One morning, scouts brought urgent news. A fleet of Imperial ships had entered Viridian's system, larger and more organized than the small groups that had come before. Nathan knew this was no longer just observation. The Empire wanted to test human strength, to see if their fear of them was justified. He called a council immediately. Mira Thompson, Ethan Collins, and other leaders joined him. Nathan spoke clearly. "The Empire thinks we are weak. They are wrong. We have built, we have learned, and we have grown. Today we will show them what humanity can do. Mira and Ethan began preparing weapons, energy shields, and defensive systems. Humans had developed machines that the Empire had not anticipated. Small drones could move faster than Imperial scouts. Energy shields could deflect attacks, and new engines allowed ships to maneuver with unmatched agility. Nathan organized the pilots, teaching them strategies that relied not on strength alone, but on intelligence, teamwork, and unpredictability. Every human involved understood that this battle was not just about survival, it was about proving humanity's worth. The Imperial fleet arrived in orbit, its massive ships blocking the light of Viridian's twin moons. Nathan's fleet, smaller and fewer in number, waited below. The Empire expected to intimidate them, but they did not understand the humans' ingenuity. Nathan gave the signal, and the human ships moved swiftly, spreading out in patterns designed to confuse the larger vessels. Drones darted between ships, creating illusions, false targets, and distractions. Humans had learned to fight smarter, not harder, and the Empire would soon see the difference. Mira monitored the energy shields, making adjustments to absorb attacks. Ethan directed the smaller ships with precision, exploiting gaps in the Imperial formation. Humans moved with speed and coordination, their tactics unpredictable, but effective. The Empire's ships fired relentlessly, but the humans had anticipated this. Shields deflected most attacks while drones disrupted enemy targeting systems. Every maneuver was calculated, yet fluid, showing a level of creativity that surprised even the Empire's commanders. On the surface, civilians watched anxiously from shelters, children clutching their parents as fires from distant explosions lit the skies above. Nathan's voice echoed through communication lines. "Stay calm. We have trained for this. Humanity is strong. We will protect Viridian." Engineers worked tirelessly, repairing damaged machines, redirecting power, and keeping life support running. Every citizen contributed, even if only by supporting those on the front lines. Humanity was united, each person playing a role in the defense of their home. The battle continued for hours. Imperial ships, used to controlling weaker civilizations, struggled against the humans' unpredictable maneuvers. Nathan's fleet hit supply lines, disrupted communication, and exploited weaknesses in the formation. Energy shields absorbed direct attacks, while drones created chaos. Mira directed repairs on ships in real time, sending engineers to patch damage and recalibrate systems. Ethan piloted his vessel with speed and accuracy, coordinating squads of fighters with precision. Humanity was not just surviving. They were dominating in ways the Empire could not understand. Imperial commanders grew frustrated. Their fleets were larger, stronger, and heavily armed. But humans used strategy, intelligence, and innovation to overcome raw power. Every attack was countered with unexpected tactics. Humans had learned not only to adapt, but to predict the Empire's moves, exploiting their reliance on brute force. Nathan smiled as he watched the results of years of preparation, training, and ingenuity. Humanity's rise was no accident. It was the product of courage, creativity, and determination. As night fell, the battle reached a critical point. Imperial ships began to retreat, their commanders unwilling to risk further losses. Nathan's fleet had not only defended Viridian, but had demonstrated that humanity could stand against the Empire's might. Fires burned in orbit and on the ground as humans celebrated, knowing they had proven their strength. Children cheered, engineers repaired ships, and soldiers trained, knowing that they had survived the Empire's test. The humans' victory was not just physical, but symbolic. Humanity had turned exile into power. They had built a civilization capable of defending itself, innovating, and thriving under pressure. Mira and Ethan worked late into the night, examining the machines that had succeeded and improving those that could be better. Nathan walked through the city, speaking to families and leaders, reminding everyone of the importance of unity, courage, and constant improvement. In the days that followed, humans expanded their defenses even further. New energy shields were built, more drones were deployed, and ships were improved for speed and agility. Nathan knew the Empire would return, but humanity had learned a crucial lesson. Strength came not only from numbers or weapons, but from intelligence, teamwork, and resilience. Humans had proven they could outthink and outmaneuver even the most powerful forces in the galaxy. Children who had once been frightened by storms and predators now trained as scouts, engineers, and pilots. Education had become a mix of practical skills and creative problem-solving, ensuring that every new generation would be capable of defending and improving humanity's civilization. Ethan taught young pilots to think ahead, to anticipate challenges, and to innovate on the fly. Mira trained engineers to adapt quickly to new technology, human or alien. Every day, humanity became smarter, faster, and more capable. Nathan also began planning for expansion. Humanity could not remain confined to Viridian forever. Scouts explored nearby systems, searching for resources, planets suitable for settlement, and opportunities for trade or alliances. Small ships traveled long distances, gathering data and returning with insights that would shape future technology and strategy. Humanity was no longer reactive. They were proactive, thinking about the galaxy as a place to explore, adapt, and thrive. The Empire, meanwhile, could not ignore the reports. Humanity's tactics, technology, and resilience spread through Imperial channels. Commanders debated whether to attack again, negotiate, or leave humans alone. Fear and respect grew. The humans had turned exile into a civilization that challenged even the Empire's assumptions. Nathan knew that diplomacy and strategy would be as important as strength. Humanity had the potential to shape the galaxy, and they had proven they could not be underestimated. Back on Viridian, life continued in a balance of work and growth. Farmers tended to crops, engineers improved machines, and children trained for the future. Even in moments of rest, humans worked together to solve problems, invent new tools, and share knowledge. Every part of society contributed to the civilization's resilience and strength. Nathan often walked through the cities, proud of what humanity had achieved. They had survived storms, predators, and exile. Now they had survived the Empire itself. One evening, as the twin moons rose over Viridian, Nathan and Mira stood on a cliff overlooking the city. Lights from homes, machines, and energy grids glowed softly in the dark. Fires burned from celebrations, and children played in the streets. Nathan smiled, knowing that humanity's journey was far from over. "We have proven ourselves," he said. Mira nodded. "Yes, but we must keep building, learning, and preparing. The galaxy will not wait for us to be ready. We must stay ahead." Nathan agreed. Humanity had been cast out, forced into exile, and expected to fail. Instead, they had built cities, mastered alien technology, trained generations of thinkers and warriors, and defended themselves against the might of the Empire. Viridian was no longer just a refuge. It was the foundation of a civilization that could challenge the galaxy. Humanity's ingenuity, courage, and unity had created something far greater than survival. The next months were spent improving and expanding. New settlements rose, energy grids connected cities more efficiently, and ships were built faster and stronger. Humans explored nearby planets, learning their resources, dangers, and potential. Every discovery reinforced the lesson that intelligence and creativity could overcome any challenge. Nathan, Mira, Ethan, and the other leaders worked tirelessly to ensure that humanity remained ahead, ready for whatever the galaxy might send. The Empire continued to watch. Their scouts reported humans' progress with growing concern. Every report showed humans thinking faster, innovating more, and acting with unity that the Empire had never expected. Commanders realized that brute force alone would not defeat humanity. Nathan understood this as well. He had taught his people that survival required not just strength but intelligence, cooperation, and courage. Humanity's rise was not a threat. They were a force shaped by necessity, ingenuity, and determination. Even the young generation understood their role. Children who had been toddlers during the first storms now trained as engineers, pilots, and scouts. Education focused on critical thinking, problem-solving, and practical skills, ensuring that humanity would continue to grow stronger with each generation. Ethan taught them the value of innovation, Mira taught them the importance of adaptation, and Nathan reminded them of courage and unity. Humanity had created a culture of resilience, learning, and progress. When scouts returned from distant planets with reports of potential resources, Nathan and Mira began planning long-term projects. Energy systems were upgraded, farms expanded, and ships improved. Humanity was preparing not just to survive, but to thrive, to expand, and to explore. Every machine built, every lesson learned, and every city expanded added to the civilization's power. Humanity had turned exile into opportunity, struggle into innovation, and danger into strength. Nathan looked to the horizon one last time that evening. Fires burned in the cities below, machines hummed in workshops, and humans worked, played, and learned. Humanity had survived storms, predators, the Empire's attacks, and exile. Now they had proven they could challenge the galaxy itself. Nathan smiled, proud and hopeful. Humanity's story was far from over, but one thing was certain. They were no longer the weak, cast-out species the Empire had once thought. They were strong, intelligent, and unstoppable. Years had passed since humanity first landed on Viridian, and the planet had transformed into a thriving civilization. Cities rose from barren rock, machines hummed with energy, and people moved with purpose. Nathan Brooks walked through the streets of the main city, observing children carrying tools, engineers testing inventions, and soldiers training for the future. Humanity had grown strong, intelligent, and united. They were no longer the exiles the Galactic Empire had cast out. They were a civilization capable of shaping its own destiny. Mira Thompson moved among her team of engineers, adjusting machines and overseeing new projects. Ethan Collins guided a group of young pilots as they tested new ships designed for speed, agility, and exploration. The people of Viridian had learned to combine creativity with discipline, using both intelligence and courage to expand their capabilities. Nathan smiled as he watched them, realizing that every challenge, every storm, every hardship had forged a civilization unlike any other. News arrived from the Empire. Scouts had reported humanity's continued progress, their expanding cities, advanced machines, and clever tactics. The Council of the Galactic Empire debated what to do. Some urged caution, others demanded intervention, but all recognized that humanity could no longer be ignored. Humans had turned exile into power, transforming hardship into innovation, and intelligence into a weapon the Empire could not match. Nathan knew that their actions in the coming years would determine whether humanity would remain free or be drawn into a larger conflict. Nathan called a meeting of the leaders of Viridian. Mira, Ethan, and the council members gathered, listening carefully. "The Empire sees what we have built," Nathan said. "They are afraid of our strength, but we will not attack unless we are forced. We have proven ourselves in defense. Now we must show them that humanity deserves respect, not fear." Mira nodded. "We have prepared everything, Nathan. Our machines, ships, and energy systems are stronger than ever. We can face any challenge and still grow." The first diplomatic contact came when a small delegation of the Empire arrived on Viridian, unarmed and cautious. Nathan met them personally, standing tall and confident. "Welcome," he said. "You have seen our cities, our technology, and our people. Humanity has built this civilization through courage, intelligence, and unity. We seek peace, but we will defend ourselves if necessary." The delegation looked around in awe. They had expected weakness, fear, and disorganization. Instead, they found a people capable of independent thought, creative problem-solving, and unmatched determination. Over weeks of discussion, the Empire recognized that humans were no longer a species to be controlled. Diplomats and representatives saw the cities, the ships, and the inventions. They watched young pilots perform complex maneuvers, engineers adapt alien technology, and families live in harmony with their environment. Humanity had turned exile into opportunity, and the Empire had no choice but to acknowledge their strength. Nathan negotiated terms that ensured Viridian's independence while opening possibilities for trade, knowledge exchange, and future exploration. Life on Viridian continued to flourish. Humanity focused not only on defense but on growth, learning, and exploration. Young adults were trained as explorers, engineers, and leaders. Ethan guided new pilots to understand tactics and creativity in problem-solving. Mira oversaw advanced research projects, building energy systems, machines, and ships that pushed the boundaries of what humanity could achieve. Nathan focused on strategy, ensuring that humanity remained prepared for any challenge while continuing to expand its influence. Exploration missions extended beyond Viridian. Scouts and ships traveled to nearby planets, mapping resources, studying alien life, and identifying systems suitable for future settlements. Humans used their ingenuity to adapt alien technology, create efficient energy systems, and build ships faster and stronger than ever before. Each successful mission brought new knowledge and strengthened the civilization. Humanity was no longer confined. They were pioneers, ready to extend their influence across the galaxy. On Viridian, the younger generation thrived. Children who had once been frightened by storms now learned engineering, piloting, and problem-solving from an early age. Schools emphasized creativity and innovation alongside practical skills, ensuring that each generation grew stronger than the last. Ethan taught young pilots to think strategically and anticipate challenges, while Mira guided engineers to invent and adapt. Nathan reminded everyone of the importance of unity, courage, and resilience. Humanity's strength was more than machines. It was in the people themselves. One day, scouts returned with astonishing news. A previously unknown system contained rare minerals and advanced resources that could revolutionize human technology. Nathan immediately organized a mission to explore and claim the system. Humans built ships capable of long-distance travel, equipped with energy shields, advanced engines, and adaptive systems. Ethan led a team of skilled pilots, while Mira and her engineers designed tools to extract resources safely and efficiently. Humanity had learned to turn opportunities into progress. The Empire observed these missions closely. Reports described humans' ability to solve problems quickly, adapt to unknown environments, and coordinate complex operations with precision. Even the Empire's most experienced commanders were impressed and concerned. Humanity's ingenuity, creativity, and resilience were unmatched. Nathan understood the significance. Viridian had become not only a home, but a symbol of human potential, a civilization that could stand among the stars on its own terms. Despite prosperity, Nathan emphasized vigilance. Humanity had survived storms, predators, and imperial attacks, but the galaxy was unpredictable. Engineers improved energy shields, ships underwent constant upgrades, and pilots trained in advanced maneuvers. Humans understood that intelligence, preparation, and unity were their greatest defenses. Every citizen, from children to elders, contributed to the growth and safety of their civilization. Humanity was not just surviving, they were thriving in a universe that had once rejected them. Mira and Ethan worked tirelessly on a new generation of ships designed for exploration, trade, and defense. These ships could travel further than before, adapt to unknown environments, and carry more resources. Humanity's technology was evolving faster than anyone could predict. Nathan oversaw strategic planning, preparing for the day when humans might encounter other civilizations or threats. Every decision balanced growth, safety, and the opportunity to demonstrate humanity's ingenuity to the galaxy. Cultural growth was as important as technological advancement. Humans celebrated achievements, shared stories of survival, and honored those who had sacrificed in the early days on Viridian. Festivals, music, and art became part of daily life, reinforcing unity and morale. Children played in the streets, laughed, and learned, while adults collaborated on projects that shaped the civilization's future. Humanity had built not just a city, but a culture of resilience, creativity, and courage. Eventually, the Empire sent another delegation, this time acknowledging humanity as a legitimate civilization. Nathan met with the leaders, discussing trade, exploration, and mutual respect. The Empire recognized that humans were not just survivors, they were innovators, strategists, and pioneers. Humanity's civilization could not be ignored or controlled. Nathan spoke clearly. We have survived exile. We have built, learned, and grown. Humanity will continue to thrive. We welcome cooperation. But we will always protect our independence and our people. Humanity's reach extended beyond Viridian. Settlements were established on nearby planets, ships explored uncharted systems, and young explorers returned with knowledge, resources, and experiences that strengthened the civilization. Humans adapted to each new challenge with creativity and courage. Nathan watched as the people of Viridian and the surrounding colonies worked together, knowing that humanity's strength lay in unity, intelligence, and the willingness to face any challenge. Years later, Viridian cities glowed with energy, machines operated efficiently, and humans moved with confidence. Children trained as engineers, pilots, and leaders. Ethan oversaw a fleet of ships exploring distant systems. Mira directed research projects that pushed technology to new heights. Nathan continued guiding the civilization, ensuring that humanity remained prepared, capable, and ambitious. Humans had turned exile into opportunity, hardship into innovation, and fear into strength. One evening, Nathan and Mira stood on a cliff overlooking the city. Fires from homes and workshops lit the streets, machines hummed in the distance, and humans worked, played, and learned. Nathan spoke softly. We have come far, Mira. The Empire once cast us out, but we have proven that humans can survive, build, and thrive anywhere. This is only the beginning. Mira nodded. Yes, Nathan. Humanity will continue to grow, explore, and show the galaxy what it means to be human. We have turned exile into greatness. Nathan smiled as he looked to the stars. Humanity had begun as exiles, cast out from the galaxy, facing a harsh planet and a powerful empire. But through courage, intelligence, and unity, they had built a civilization that could stand on its own. Humanity had survived storms, predators, and attacks, mastered alien technology, and trained generations of innovators, explorers, and leaders. Viridian was no longer just a refuge. It was a symbol of human strength. Humanity had secured its place in the galaxy. The Empire, once fearful, now treated them with respect. Other civilizations began to notice humans' ingenuity and resilience. Nathan knew that the future would bring new challenges, but humanity was ready. They had survived exile, proven themselves against the Empire, and built a civilization that could not be ignored. The galaxy would never underestimate humans again. As night fell on Viridian, the twin moons casting light over glowing cities, Nathan, Mira, Ethan, and the people of humanity celebrated quietly. Children laughed, adults worked, and humans looked toward the stars with hope and ambition. Humanity had been cast out from the stars, but in exile they had forged a civilization that inspired awe, demanded respect, and ensured that the galaxy would never forget their name. Nathan knew that the story of humanity on Viridian was far from finished. The journey would continue with exploration, innovation, and growth. Humans had learned that no challenge was too great, no enemy too strong, and no star too distant. Humanity had proven that they were not just survivors. They were creators, thinkers, and pioneers. The galaxy had cast them out, but humanity had turned exile into greatness, and their legacy would shine among the stars forever.